Hey guys, it's Davin here at brewbits.com. Behind the camera as usual we got James. Say hello, James. I have only just got rid of all my rhubarb from the freezer into a rhubarb cider that I'm in the process of making. And James's dad has been really nice and he's given me a load of more rhubarb. Just what I need, more rhubarb. So what do? Well, I thought I would make a different wine. I've made rhubarb wine by stewing it. I've made rhubarb wine by smashing it all up and using the sugar extraction method. I thought I would do something slightly different. And this is where this comes in. Ginger! I've already broken this bit off, unfortunately. But that's what we're going to be making. Rhubarb and ginger wine. So I've got my rhubarb. I've got 5 pounds of rhubarb here. I've got my ginger. I've got way too much ginger here. This is why I broke this off earlier, because I've measured it. That's 50 grams, and there's still probably going to be a little bit too much, because rhubarb has got quite a delicate flavour when you put it into a wine. And so ginger, oh, it's lovely, I love ginger. Really quite strong flavour. So we're only going to need a little bit of ginger to get the flavour. We don't really want the heat from this, well, I don't. So I'm going to just making a nice subtle ginger and rhubarb kind of combination. Should be quite nice. So we're going to need a few other things to make our rhubarb and ginger wine. The first one I'm going to do is the Mangrove Jack's yeast MA33. That's an acid reducing yeast and will help keep the acidity down on these guys because we're using quite a lot of rhubarb. Okay, we're going to need a fermentation bucket, a demijohn with a bubbler and bung. Well, we've got some yeast nutrients, some pectolase, some white wine enhancer, some different brewing sugar and normal supermarket sugar. We've got some finings, some fermentation stopper, some Camden tablets, and then as usual, other bits and bobs you're going to need, your hydrometer and trial jar, a thermometer, spoon, and a straining bag to make life easier. And then this little baby over here. I'm probably going to have to do this in a couple of batches, but I'm also going to be using my food processor to help me prepare all of the rhubarb. Right, let's get brewing. So I've roughly washed the rhubarb to get any mud off of it. And now I'm just simply chopping it up and taking off any little bits of stalky bits. And then for now, just gonna chuck them in my bucket. So I'm just roughly chopping the ginger as well. And that is gonna go in with the rhubarb. Now we're going to add our pectolase on top of our rhubarb and ginger, and I'm going to use 2 teaspoons. 1, 2, because we're using quite a lot of rhubarb, and this is going to do 2 things. There's a lot of pectin in rhubarb, and pectin's great for making jam because pectin helps the jam set. However, we don't want this to set. Pectin in a wine will actually create a hazy wine at the end, and we don't want that. So that's going to help stop us having a hazy wine. And the second part of it is the pectin is actually going to help break down the cell walls of the rhubarb and ginger, and that's going to help it extract more flavour and more colour, and hopefully make this wine absolutely zing. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our rhubarb that's now covered in pectolase, and we're going to pop it into our food processor. Now, if you don't have a food processor, I'm going to have to do it in a few batches. If you don't have a food processor, back to me a second, James. You can simply get one of these, a nice big rolling pin, and get smash, 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 smashy, 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 and keep going smashy, smashy, smashy until it's totally pulped. But I don't need to use that because I got this baby. Let's turn the electric on and let's get whizzing. Now the rhubarb is fully pulped, we can prepare our sterilised straining bag over a bowl. Take our rhubarb, nearly lost the bottom bit, and pop all of this lovely pulped rhubarb into the bowl. And then I've got to go again because I've still got quite a bit of rhubarb in my bucket. So I'm going to go for round 2. Now it's all pulped down and in our straining bag, I'm going to tie up the straining bag. So give it a good tightening up there, like so, and then lift it up a little bit and get it looped around underneath so that we actually get a good seal on the bag so nothing can come out into the fermenter. Whilst I sterilise my fermenter, I'm going to take some water and pop it in my kettle because I need 2 pints of boiling water. We're using 2 types of sugar. We're using normal supermarket sugar and we're using brewing sugar, dextrose. So the reason why we're using a bit of one and a bit of the other is that supermarket sugar, granulated sugar, adds a residual sweetness to the finished wine. And so we want a little bit of residual sweetness, but we don't want very much, which is why we're then using the dextrose. Okay, in then our 2 pints of water go to the sugars. And now we need to give this a good stir till both the sugars are dissolved. And once the sugar's dissolved, we need 5 pints of cold water. Next to go in is our white wine enhancer. We're only using 500 ml, so that's half of this because this is a litre. So I'm just going to quickly measure it out. So 500. And in that goes, and mix that in as well. A quick temperature check to make sure that it's the right temperature before we add our yeast. It's coming out mine about 24 degrees C, which is perfect because our yeast is tolerant up to 28. The next thing we're going to pop in is our yeast nutrients. That's going to help the yeast munch all that lovely sugar we've added in there as well, and also help them extract all those lovely colors and flavors from the rhubarb. So a good heaped teaspoon. And then we've got over here our Mangrove Jack's MA33 wine yeast. Now this has got some nutrient in as well, but why not double hit it? Give that a sprinkle in and give that then a good stir to mix that in as well. Okay, the next thing is we've got our bowl of pulped up rhubarb. You can see all the juice running out of it already. So the bag goes in and all that lovely juice goes in as well. The pectolase has already started doing its work and extracting those juices from the rhubarb. And that goes in, give it a good dunking and good old mix around. And you can see the color of our must has changed really, really quickly. So just using my large pipette here to take a sample so we can get a hydrometer reading. Okay, let's have a look, see what we're coming out at. 1.0996. So we're going to write that down. Of course, I sterilized my trial jar and my hydrometer before, so we can pop that back in. And now the lid goes on. Just going to take a little bit air off one corner so that the CO2 can escape. And now this goes into my warm cupboard to ferment for the next 7 days. The rhubarb and ginger wine's now been in my warm place for just over a week, and it has bubbled all up and settled down. And I have sterilized my hands. So I'm going to get in here now and take out, oh look at the color, the bag of rhubarb and ginger. There's a lot of wine still left in here, so get in here, gently massage it and squeeze it gently, and all that extra wine is going to come out. If you want to do it with gloves, feel free to do it with gloves. Okay, so I've squeezed pretty much everything out, and all that rhubarb has turned into pretty much nothing. And you can see I've mixed this around a little bit. So I'm now just going to put the lid back on, give my hands a wash, and I'm going to leave this to settle for an hour. It's had time to settle, and any of the sediment that we kicked up taking the bag out has now settled down. So down here, I've got my demijohn, and I have got a sterilised siphon. All we're going to do is get the wine from the fermenting bucket into the demijohn. back up to me a second, James, because in the bottom of the bucket here, there's going to be quite a lot of sediment in the bottom. So just keep the bottom of the sediment trap just below the surface of the wine so that you try and get as much wine without any sediment, as little sediment as you can. So you can see all the sediment down in the bottom of the fermenter, and I've tilted the bucket so you can get as much wine out of there as possible. As soon as it gets almost to the point there, that's it, we're done. As you can see, I've managed to get more than I bargained for. So much rhubarb has meant we've gained almost another half a demijohn. So the first one, take it up to the neck. If you've got some left over, fantastic. For your next demijohn, take your bubblers and your bungs, pop them in with your bottom couple of airlocks partially filled with sterilising solution, and now put this back into your warm place for about another week to 2 weeks for the fermentation to complete. The rhubarb and ginger wine has had about another week in my demijohns, and I've noticed it started to settle out. So I've taken a sample in my trial jar, and the hydrometer is coming out at 0.996. Perfect, time to move on. So down here, I have got a second sterilised demijohn, and I have got my siphon. And all I'm going to do now is from this one, gently move it, try not to disturb any sediment in the bottom, is to rack it off and siphon the wine from this demijohn to that demijohn, trying to leave the sediment behind in this top one. Now we've racked it off the sediment, we need to add a couple of other ingredients. So we've got some fermentation stopper and a Camden tablet. So I'm going to start with this one here, and we're going to use a whole Camden tablet in between 2 dessert spoons, like so, and then gently get that in. There we go. That's that one. And then we're going to use a quarter to half a teaspoon of fermentation stopper, and in that goes. On this one, I've only got about half the amount, so I'm going to use half a Camden tablet. And so to use a half a Camden tablet, one of the easiest things to do is take a knife into the middle and chop it in half. And then do exactly the same. In between 2 spoons, crush it down, add that in, and then we'll add a quarter teaspoon of fermentation stopper. Okay, so these together are going to kill any remaining yeast, and it's going to help us with the clearing process as well. So the next thing we need to do is we need to get this all mixed in. And the easiest way to do this is pop your bung back in your demijohn, and now give it a really good swirling. Because we're doing 2 things. First of all, we're mixing it all in, and as you can see, loads and loads of bubbles are starting to come out. This isn't because it's fermenting again. This is simply now because there's lots and lots of carbon dioxide that was held within the wine, and we're now knocking this out of suspension, a bit like when you open a can of Coke. So keep giving it a good swirl, go one way and then the other, and you're going to do this a couple of times a day for the next 2 days for about 5 minutes at a time, just to knock that carbon dioxide out. And you can see there's quite a bit in there. So it's been 48 hours since we added the Camden tablets and the fermentation stopper, so I thought I'd give them one last shake before we add in the finings. So here I'm using Clear It, which is a 2-stage finings with a bottle A and a bottle B. And so it's all about how much haze do we think we've got in here. And I think there's a good amount of haze, so I'm going to use 5 ml of A in the big demijohn, which is about a good teaspoon. There we go. I know it doesn't look much, but trust me, this will do the job. And then we've got A into the other demijohn. Don't worry if you don't have a second demijohn's worth, or you might have even a little bit more. It depends on how juicy your rhubarb was. Okay, so the airlocks go back in, and we give this a really good swirl now, both of them, until that's all mixed in. And then we leave them for an hour before we come back and add the same amount of finings B. It's been just over the hour, so it's time to add finings B, and that's going to be a half a teaspoon in this one, something like that, and a whole teaspoon in this one. Okay, and then nice little tidy up, pop them back in, and again give them a good swirl to mix it all around. And then once you've mixed it all around, this now needs to go somewhere where it's not going to be disturbed for approximately 1 week. And over that 1 week, you'll see all that sediment drop and create a layer down at the bottom and leave you a perfectly crystal clear wine. The finings have done their job, and look how beautifully clear this wine is. So the next thing we need to do is take it off the sediment at the bottom. So down here, I've got a sterilized bucket because I'm going to bring these 2 demijohns back into one wine. And then I've got my siphon. So let's start with the half one. That goes in. Let's find the other end. On that end. Quick suck and let it flow. Now, although the wine looked absolutely beautifully crystal clear, there will still be some particulates still floating around in it. So I like to filter my wine, and down here I'm using a Harris Mark III filter just because I've got a small batch to do. So this is going to take a few moments for it to filter through. Look how lovely and bright and sparkly this wine is now after it's been filtered. So I've already started bottling, and so I've got a few bottles here. So you're going to take the wine just up to about the top of my finger, so that it's going to leave a bit of space for the cork and a little bit of air as well. So I've got my bottles all filled up. I've got my easy adjustable 2-handle corker. Pop the cork in, and in it goes. So there we go, that's it done. The rhubarb wine's been bottled, and all we need to do now, if we really want to make it really pretty, is put a shrink cap on. As you can see over here, we've put a little label on it, so we know what it is. And what you need to do now is leave these stood up for the next 48 hours to allow the cork to set in place. And then we're going to transfer them somewhere cool and lay them down so the cork stays nice and moist. Going to leave them in the bottles. Now, I've had a little taste because we've had some left over. Oh, unfortunately, there was a little bit left over. Had a little taste. I reckon you're going to need to leave this in the bottles for about 3 to 6 months before you devour into it. And then this is going to be a lovely rhubarb and ginger wine with lots of rhubarb, a nice hint of ginger, a little tiny bit in the back of the heat, and that is going to be a gorgeous wine. So if you've had a go at making rhubarb and ginger wine, let me know down in the comments below. If you've got any questions, if you need any help, then fire away, as I say, any questions in the comments below, and I'll get back to you and help you out. But for now, cheers, happy brewing, and enjoy a lovely rhubarb and ginger wine. Cheers. Ooh. I'm happy with that. You know I will just cut anything else you put at the end, don't you? If you carry on filming, I will just cut. It's just simple and easy as that. Just cut, James. Just cut. James, just cut. End.